What's up, guys? My name is Sebastian, and welcome to another episode of The Seba Show. And today, we're continuing our series of reviews of Wandavision. And for this one, if you keep keeping up with my reviews, I first start with my non-spoiler reviews, and then I go with my spoiler discussions and thoughts. But I just thought, man, fuck the non-spoiler stuff. There's just no way. I have to discuss everything that I'm seeing in the show. I need to talk about everything. I even took notes this time. There's a lot of shit I need to go through. A lot of thoughts, a lot of feelings in here that I want to discuss with you guys. So if you've not seen this episode of WandaVision or you haven't watched anything and you don't want to be spoiled, please do not watch this review until you've seen the show. Or if you haven't seen the show and do not give a fuck about spoilers, then you're welcome to stay. But I'm doing this if you've seen the show. So without further ado, let's just get to it. I mean, this show is just getting better and better. I mean, last episode was my favorite so far. That was just shit was just amazing. Like expanding what's going on in the show, connecting stuff from the MCU with all these different characters and storylines. But it's finally we get to know what is going on, and the way they revealed stuff is amazing, but still leaving you with a little bit of mystery. This time around, I was like, no, we're getting further on. We know what's going on this time, but now we need to know what's going to happen. Now that we kind of know, in a way, what's going on, kind of now I guess we kind of left off with another mystery now, but we kind of know more about what is going on. Now it's just more about, okay, what can we expect further on? But there's still some stuff that it's not very clear. But let's get to it, because man, there's some stuff I saw here. Man, it's incredible. This is incredible. I loved the way that, we're back to the sitcom stuff as we've seen from the first 3 episodes, which I thought that's how the rest of the episode's going to be. Like, okay, so now we're going to tackle the 80s sitcom, parodying it, but also being faithful to it. And, we saw the introduction with her having the kids and trying to get him to sleep, not to cry anymore, the struggles of being a parent. And we see that again, the shenanigans, where like magicians like, oh, like I don't know how human stuff works. This is a little goofy. But I love that right out of the gate. It's like, okay, we're kind of getting back into that. But now it's like the show is kind of deciding like, okay, enough dilly-daddling, we need to get to the serious shit. We can't just go back to the sitcom stuff anymore. We need to tackle what is going on and not bullshit. So of course we see like Agnes comes in out of nowhere, like, oh, I heard like your kids aren't sleeping, so I'm just here to help. And I love that already Vision's kind of knowing, already guessing or questioning what the hell's going on. They're like, because we kind of saw from last episode, he's already kind of questioning what is going on, what is Wanda doing. Like, he knows something is going on. And I love they continued on here. They just, like, let it go and he just forget. I just love that. I love that he still has those thoughts in mind. And he knows he's puzzled. He knows he's, like, there's just something weird going on. It's not normal. I love that he also, the questions, like, okay, just Agnes comes out of nowhere. And she's like, okay, everything is just coming out of nowhere. And it just very conveniently, it's just strange. I enjoy that. And there was one line that Wanda said that kind of shows you what she's going through and what she's doing on this show, where she says to the kids, like, why wouldn't you do what I want? I wrote that down because I was like, that is what she's doing to all these people in Westview. She's, or I guess, well, maybe the Vision in some sense as well, but she kind of wants them to do what she wants them to do. Like, I want you guys to live in this perfect city. Everything's nice, everything's like cuddly, everything's so warm and just beautiful. Everything's just nice. Well, as you kind of see later in this episode, some things are not nice, but she does it for a purpose, like for a reason. But I love that line encapsulates what she wants them to do. Like, why won't you do what I want to do? So I just wrote that down. I was like, that's what she's doing. That's who she is right now in the show. It's crazy. So I wrote down, like, yeah, like, Vision's the one that's confused, while One is the one that's controlling everything. Because, while Vision, is questioning, like, how is Agnes showed up here? Like, what is going on? And Vision, like, One is like, hey, don't even think about it, honey. Don't worry about it. You know, it's like, don't worry about it. Vision's the one that's just like, nah, man. Like, there's some stuff. There's some stuff. Because yeah, he's puzzling like everything with Agnes. He was like, what was that with Agnes? You know, because she basically, yeah, it's like she came out of nowhere and like it was. Oh, sorry, because it was a scene where Wanda tells her like, oh, pick up the kids, and Agnes is like, you want me to pick up the kids? Like I'm sorry, you sure you want to do that? Like, should we go from the top? Like, you know, like actually filming the show? And that was so weird. Like, that moment is very weird because throughout the show, I've been kind of questioning: is Agnes a villain? Is she an accomplice? Like, I was thinking that maybe she's a villain, that she's the one that maybe pulling the strings here. But now I think she's not. I'm still not letting her go that easily. But I think I'm starting to notice that she's not the villain. I think she's part of what is going on here. Or, you know, she's part of the people that Wanda's basically taken hostage. But it's weird because, okay, we kind of discussed that these people are, and we kind of see later on with Norm, that these people are mind controlled from Wanda. But I think Agnes is one of those people that maybe she's not mind controlled for whatever reason. We still don't know why. Especially, I think Herb, because, you know, from that scene in episode 3, while Agnes and Herb are kind of discussing, like, hey, is Geraldine in there? What's going on in there? It's like, if they were supposed to be mind control, how can they be discussing the intricacies of the show, of like what is going on in that in Westview? It's like, is Wanda kind of warm up to them, or is Wanda like warm up to Agnes? Like, is Agnes someone special to her? I don't know, but I feel like Agnes is also kind of taken hostage. She's forced to be there, but she sort of has a little bit of free will. It's weird. Some people speculating that she's what's her name? Agatha, I think. Like, she's like this witch that's very close to Wanda, and that she also took care of her kids. But I don't know. I don't know if that's the case with Agnes in this show, but for some reason she has like a little bit more free will. Like, she's something you can see her face when she knows that something's just weird. And I'm just like, I don't know about this. For some reason, she's not as controlled as maybe the rest of the people are in Westview. But I'm not gonna like, you know, take my suspicions from her away. I still have an eye on her. But we see her face on the board of like all the people that are taken hostage in Westview. So, because I think some people were also saying like, oh, you didn't see her, you know, on the board, so maybe she's up to something. But now I noticed in the background that yes, she's on the board, but I'm still not gonna let her go that easily. But maybe she's not the bad person that I at least thought, or many people thought. I think maybe she's good, but I'm not letting her go that easily. Also, thought that something was going on. Like when Vision said, like, "Do you hear that?" I was like, "Dude, I swear, I closed the screen. Like, what is it? What is it? Like, what is the secret? What's the Easter egg or something? Like, what is going on? I need to know everything because, you know, Marvel does this kind of thing with it. You have to pay attention to a lot of stuff in the background or something, especially in this show. You need to like be aware of everything that's going on, or you might lose something. But no, it was only like, oh, you hear that silence because the kids are like asleep. But no, they fucking grew up. Now they're kids. And I'm like, what the hell? You see, Agnes is like completely normal with it. You know, like Vision doesn't even question that she was there. Or they kind of don't question it either. Vision's like, oh, they're both, I mean, Vision and Wanda, they're both like, oh, that's weird, but they just go with it. They're like, okay. I also wrote that I'm not liking Wanda. I'm not liking Wanda, not as a character, because she's great. I'm just saying right now as a person, I'm not liking her because she is pretty bad right now. She's taking these people hostage. She wants things to go perfectly. She's, you know, you can see like she's boiled with rage and like sadness and tragedy. But she's becoming like very controlling, and it's kind of like, ugh, like it's disturbing, and to kind of see her evolution to this like bad person, which I don't think she's gonna sit like that forever. I do think like by the end of the show and by continuing on to Doctor Strange 2, I think she's gonna be in the process of rehabilitation, with Doctor Strange. Like Doctor Strange like needs her help for whatever reason for the multiverses, as we kind of know that Wanda's controlling reality as we know it. I think it's very, very interesting. But yeah, I was just writing down like the way she's Wanda's mission to like not think about anything, to not be distracted by questioning what is going on. I was like, man, I don't like her because she's becoming a really bad person. But it's fascinating and I love it. The theme song for this like this sitcom that they're doing was, I think, the best one they've done so far because it's very super 80s. I mean, you can tell it's a lot of Full House, which is, I mean, it's kind of funny because Elizabeth Olsen, you know, is sisters to Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen, you know, who played Michelle on Full House. So they did a lot of hints and kind of homages to Full House, especially in the show after the theme song. But yeah, it was super 80s, super like emotional, like sweet and soft, very 80s sitcom, like family sitcom. So it was great. But then after that, the show took a turn, and then I expected to go this way. I mean, I predicted it last week, where I thought that, because I thought last episode was going to jump between the sitcom and what was going on outside of the sitcom. That was not the case. But I also thought that maybe this week they'll do it. Like they're going to jump back and forth between the show and what's going on outside, and it happened. But I still didn't expect it to happen like that. I was like, yeah, I think we're going to stick at the sitcom. But no, I was like, oh shit, I was kind of right. That's awesome. So immediately after the theme song, we're jumping outside and seeing what's going on with Monica and the rest of the people. That was cool. Man, the you know, the jumps between the tones and the visuals it's great. Oh, also notice the theme song, like the pictures for the kids, you know, Tommy and Billy's kids, you know, like they were babies. You can tell that's not 80s pictures, bro. Like like it doesn't mix with the rest of the pictures of the other people, you know? It's like those are not 80s pictures. Those are literally pictures they took from like when they were kids, and like they asked the parents, like, can we borrow some pictures from you guys? You can tell it's like fucking 2012 or something, like, bruh. So I just love going back and forth and seeing like what's going on with Monica. I love seeing Jimmy and Darcy are back, which is like, that's awesome. I also love the idea that Darcy is a fan of Monica. Like, I don't know what like Monica's famous for. Maybe she's famous in like the service industry of you know, like the military and science industry people, right? But I love that she was like fangirling out a little bit. Like she's like, oh, I know, big fan. I was like, okay, that's cool. I don't know if she's like Monica's done like super heroics that she's famous for. That's not been clear. But I also love that Monica's like a super resistant person. That she's not, you know, like she just doesn't follow a lot of orders. She wants to do things on her own. She does things like out of the book. I love that. Apparently something's going on with Monica as well, because they did like a ER scan, but something like was weird. Like it didn't work out. But Monica was like, I don't want that bullshit anymore. Let's go on. Let's get to work. Like, I love that she's also like very focused and like, I need to solve things. Let's get to work. Let's not waste our time. She's all about work. I love the briefing scene, which, you know, Jimmy's kind of giving a background on Wanda, which is awesome. Like stuff that we already know if you've seen the movies. But what I love about it is like they kind of confirm that maybe Wanda is not Magneto's kid. Because, you know, Wanda from the comics is Magneto's kid, but of course, you know, between the rights between Fox and Disney, you know, X-Men is not in the Marvel Interconnected Universe. So they kind of had to still, I mean, as we know, they did two Quicksilvers, but this Quicksilver from the MCU couldn't be related to Magneto because, you know, rights. But now that they're within Disney, they could have had the opportunity to like maybe say that is like Eric Maximoff. That's his name, right? Eric Maximoff. No, they said it, I think it's like Oleg Maximoff or something like that. So I was like, oh, so they just confirmed they're not related to Magneto, but maybe they still are related. Maybe they'll say like they were adopted, you know, meaning Pietro and Wanda, they were adopted by these people. But in reality, her real parents, like Eric is his real dad. You know, that's, that'd be cool. But I was like, okay, they kind of confirmed that maybe they're not related. Which whenever the X-Men do come into the fold, I don't know if that's like something that they still want to keep separated. You know, like Wanda's not related to Magneto. If Wanda's still in the MCU, which I doubt that she will be there. I think it'll be too late. I think maybe the deals are running out. Maybe like Elizabeth Olsen's like, I'm done. But I don't know. Maybe they kind of want to throw you off saying like, oh, they're not related, but yeah, they are later on. Like, who knows? But also love about this scene is like Hayward, you know, the leader of Sword, or at least from that headquarters, is like butting heads with Jimmy Woo about their perspective on Wanda. As you see, Hayward kind of like, you know, she's a terrorist, she's a bad person, she's not really that good, she can't be trusted. Well, Jimmy Woo is more sympathetic. She's like, yeah, she was from a tragic background. Her parents were killed from a bombing raid. Terrible. They were taken and forced to, you know, subject to these experiments from Hydra, which, you know, because the thing is, Hayward said like they're volunteering Hydra, meaning they meant to go to Hydra and have these experiments be taken on them. We don't, if I remember correctly, I don't know. I think so. Yeah, I think they went to Hydra or no, I think they were taken hostage, weren't they? Let me know in the comments. I don't remember right now, but basically Hayward's all like, yeah, they meant to do this. They meant who they are right now is what they meant to be. While Jimmy was like, no, this is all like some bad stuff happened, and yeah, she was bad in the beginning, but then she earned Avengers' trust, and you know, she's an Avenger. She's a good person. I love that Jimmy was like, really, you're talk to me like this? Like, fuck you. And all the Hayward's like, oh yeah, but remember Lagos, you know, Africa? I was like, oh yeah. And also those shots that they showed from Civil War, those footage makes no sense. Almost like in Avengers. In Avengers, I remember just one scene like from Incredible Hulk from like this briefing, but I was like, okay, it kind of makes sense. I can see it was more from like a lower ground perspective. So I can see a soldier having a head cam or something. But those scenes from Civil War, like, there was no one there with a head cam. I don't think so. I mean, maybe you can say there was maybe like a body cam or whatever, but those were scenes straight up from Civil War. I also love like Jimmy's in the end was like, man, Hayward's a dick, and they just cut that word dick, and I'm like, oh, love it. It was just funny. The way they cut it was great. Oh, and I also love this part where Hayward's like, so Wanda, did you also have an alias? Like no funny nicknames, nothing. Jim was like, nope, nothing. You know, like don't come to me like that, bro. But I love it. It's kind of confirmed. Like, yeah, she's never called the Scarlet Witch. I mean, we know her as the Scarlet Witch from comic books, but in the MCU, she has no alias. She's just Wanda Maximoff, which is weird now that you think about it. And it's always kind of been weird. Like everybody has a nickname or a superhero name, but she's just called Wanda. Wanda Maximoff. That's it. Like, she's the only one without a name. That's interesting. Kind of also tells you that she's also always kind of been an outsider because she's never had a name. She's just a person with these amazing powers, but she's not like a superhero. She's an Avenger, but not a full superhero. You know, or considered. Boy, she's considered to be an Avenger, but not full with like the whole package. You know, it's interesting. It's interesting. So yeah, they confirmed that everybody's been mind controlled. I love it. I'm like, okay, we got that question out of the bag. We got that answered. Let's move on. And I love the review because I love this episode kept revealing stuff, questions that we have since the beginning. Like, okay, so how's Vision alive? We still don't know exactly how he's alive, but we confirmed that Wanda kidnapped Vision's corpse from no other place except Sword headquarters, which is amazing. I'm like, holy shit, like that is cool. They showed the footage and you can see Wanda's like pissed the fuck off and like, wow. I didn't expect this route. I thought that she, because I didn't know where the corpse was. I thought they just left it over in Wakanda, but I was like, of course, why would they leave the body in Wakanda? You know, they would take it away, right? For all these years. So it makes sense it should be somewhere, but in Sword? That is interesting. Why is it in Sword? But to take him off, I'm like, wow, that's just insane. So yeah, they didn't clarify how is he alive. That's still a question. What I believe is, and what I kind of suspected from last week, and I kind of predicted this, like, the what's moving there, this vision that we see is actually the corpse. That's the dead body from Infinity War. But she's kind of manipulating the body, putting this image of Vision. But as we kind of know, Vision's having some independent thought. So somehow, I don't think that's anything to do with the Mind Stone, but somehow she's making, she gave him like life and thought and everything, which who knows how she does it. And he kind of tackled this later on in the episode where they kind of talk about like, oh, you can bring people back from the death, that's not even a word, which she says, no, I can't do that. Those are things that you cannot reverse, even if it hurts you. And the way she said it, she made it look like, yeah, that's a fact that I kind of have to accept, but she's at the same time not accepting it. And I'm like, I'm not accepting that. Hell no. It tells me that he's not really alive, but it's probably this illusion, because I think she's in a way changing the reality of things. So he's not really alive, but at the same time, in her own reality, he is alive. But he's in the same time, he's creating his own independent thought. He's an independent life form, which is mind-boggling. Like, holy shit! Like, how? So he's not really alive. He's not really there, but at the same time, he is a living, breathing person. Shit. So I think that's what's going on. But I love that they kind of revealed that. But what was confusing was that Hayward said, like, okay, at the beginning of the briefing, like, okay, we suspected that she was part of the victims of this Westview, like, the not simulation, but this fake reality. But they kind of said, like, no, we confirmed that she's not, whatever. But then later on at the end, they confirmed, like, yeah, she stole Vision's corpse and all that stuff. Like, we know that she's doing this on purpose. I'm like, so why did you, knowing this fact that she stole the corpse and everything, why did you think in the first place that she was a victim? I'm like, I mean, like, unless they thought that she was being controlled by someone else, but that kind of doesn't make any sense. So that was kind of a little like, that doesn't make any sense. Why do you think that she was a victim when you have all these facts? I don't know, but still, great reveals. Holy shit. And although like things are increasing, they're racking up, things are just getting more interesting. We're getting wrapped up into the story of like, how are they gonna stop Wanda? What is going on? How they're gonna stop everything? I'm like, how are you gonna stop everything? I don't know. So there was one line that was interesting where Monica says like, because she's with Darcy and Jimmy Woo kind of figuring out like how can they go in, or how can they stop Wanda? Which of course the whole thing is like, when you can't go inside Westview because you're gonna be automatically controlled by Wanda's mind controlling powers. So like, you're fucked. You're gonna back to the same situation. So Monica's figuring out like, okay, so is there a way we can build something like kind of build like this radioactive shelter, like material, whatever, that can go inside, that I can wear, I guess, and go back inside and not be manipulated by her. Which Darcy was like, theoretically, yes. And I love that Monica's like, I'll go with theoretically. I'm good with that. They're trying to figure out a way to get back inside. There was something interesting, because Darcy was like, okay, but we kind of use materials. These are like very, very difficult to do and create. So Monica she put a smile, kind of she has a plan in mind. She's like, oh, I know a good what'd you say, like an aerospace engineer that I could talk to about this. And almost like he's teasing that someone is gonna appear. The last thing we saw that she took out her phone, she was texting, I guess the engineer, but we didn't confirm. I thought we were gonna automatically see a cameo from somebody, because I was like, aerospace engineer, like who is an aerospace engineer? Like, who do we know? Like, oh wait, is she mean Carol Danvers? But Carol's not an engineer, she's just a pilot. Which sounds like, it makes sense that she would know who Captain Marvel is. But I don't think she's an aerospace engineer. So I was like, who is she talking about? I don't know. I was writing down like Reed Richards? Because ever since the last episode, I was kind of suspecting that the Fantastic Four is kind of being set up here. I think some other people are kind of thinking the same way. Because there's this good theory, and I'll thank Double Toasted for bringing this theory up, which they saw from other people talking online, how Sword's uniform kind of resembles the Fantastic Four uniform. So they were kind of saying like how they're developing these space travel missions, which we kind of saw from Nick Fury in Far From Home. So I thought the Sword all this time were doing operations from space, but I guess not, because Hayward said like, oh, things change as you left. Like we don't do things the exact way as you were before. So somehow Nick Fury's like, I guess, is leading the charge for like the space travel missions from Sword, which is awesome. I cannot wait to see that in a movie or a series, whatever it's gonna be. So people suspecting that maybe the Fantastic Four is somehow going to be one of those leading missions in space, and then the cosmic radiation, boom, bam, boom, and Fantastic Four are here. I guess you just have the suit already and just put the four in there. I don't know how the four is gonna be there, but the suits kind of do look like Fantastic Four suits, which I wouldn't mind having those suits already for the movie. But man, I don't know. I don't know. It's just, who is this aerospace engineer? I don't know. Maybe he's Reed Richards. I think it would make sense, right? If they already worked for Sword, Monica somehow knows them. It can all make sense. But Carol Danvers, I don't think it's Carol. I don't think so. But whoever this aerospace engineer that they set up and then they didn't go forward with in this episode, which maybe this aerospace engineer will come back at some point. I don't know, but it's weird to set that up and not, follow through. But hopefully we do see who it is, and I don't know. They made it like a big deal, like this aerospace engineer, like who is it? Unless it's like an Easter egg that a reference that I missed. But if it's not that, then hopefully they follow through with it. Like, who is this aerospace engineer? I also love how Vision had a will. That's just mind-boggling. Like, wow. Like, this android who's basically a human, like, a breathing person, it's like had a will. It's like, that's just cool. And also for the Sokovia Accords, I love they reference that again. Referencing back to Civil War. Great stuff. I also loved how they mentioned how Wanda could have killed Thanos. Like, that's what I love, because I can tell that these writers kind of just read what people are saying online. Like, yeah, Wanda's could have killed Thanos. I love that. So it's just like Monica kind of spoke through the community. Like, yeah, like she could have killed Thanos easily if it wasn't for like the well, what did she say? Like, I don't know. She said a word, but how the reinforcement came on. We all kind of agree that Wanda could have killed them, right? But also Jimmy was like, well, but if some people can agree or argue that Captain Marvel could have killed him, and I thought, I forgot that Monica is connected directly from Captain Marvel, but I thought her face, she was like, I thought her face meant like, yeah, I'm not a big fan of Captain Marvel. kind of referencing people not liking Captain Marvel right now. But I was like, no, wait a minute, like she's connected through Captain Marvel, but her face kind of meant like whatever has happened throughout all these years, maybe there's been a fallout, that they're not connected anymore, they don't communicate with each other anymore, whatever that case is. But I kind of like that face, and I just love this discussion, like Wanda versus Captain Marvel, who would have killed Thanos, like who's better, Also, I don't understand how they know these specific moments in this battle from Endgame. Like, no one was there except the Avengers and the enemies. Like, who else was there? I don't know. How do they know these specific moments that you'd never see anyone around, not even in the sky? Like, there's not a satellite or a drone or anything. Like, how? I don't know. But other than that logic, it was just fun. It was just fun seeing that scene. It was great. And so we go back to computational services. You see basically the same set from the first episode from The Job, but a little bit more 80s. And I love seeing, again, the same dynamic from the first episode with him and Norm. But you kind of see the Vision's already very, like, again, puzzled. He's very down. He's very kind of sad, and also kind of having these different questions, and maybe this reality that he thought was real, having like these conflicting realities and thoughts kind of crashing together. You kind of see him like he's just on a down note. He's just not feeling good. He feels upset a little bit. But also notice that he's referencing stuff from like present tech. You know, because Norman's like, oh my God, you told me that we can do this and this. And I'm like, yeah, this is that, this is that, this isn't call an email. You know, like stuff that is for us in this present time is normal and common. But it's like, it makes me feel that Vision already kind of knows about his present or the present stuff that he lived through. But he doesn't notice at the same time, you know? It's weird. It's weird. It's weird. But all that scene between him and Norm, and basically finally, like, Vision knows, like, something is going on. But the one that puts a nail in the coffin about that is the fact that Norm, out of nowhere, is like, dude, this is a joke. Like, please, no, this is not real. Vision's like, what? So I love that. Because, again, this message came through from Darcy, I believe, kind of like trying to communicate with the people in there. And Vision's already like, okay, this is weird. Like, people talking like zombies or like mind control people. This is weird. And then he's like, okay, I gotta figure this out. Puts his mind right through Norm. And then Norm breaks out of character and he's just like, dude, please stop her, please, fuck. So I love that scene. I love that because he was like, who are you talking about? Like, who? I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, it's her, you gotta stop her. And he was like, I love his facial expression because it made him realize, like, oh, I know who you're talking about. Like, oh, fuck. It's kind of his biggest fear is being realized right now, like, of who he kind of suspected but didn't want to suspect is the perpetrator. So, damn, I love that scene. So I love that he just put him back to character and just like, I'll deal with this later. Also, I forgot how the kids grew up again. They were like, oh, well, this is sad a little bit. Well, let's just grow up. Whoop. And oh, I also love that scene again from when we had the dog incident. And again, Agnes comes out of nowhere, again, conveniently with a doghouse. And Vision's like, what the hell? Because he said, like, he kind of suspected that something is going to come out of nowhere. That someone's going to come out of nowhere. It's like, yeah, it's her. He's like, what the hell? Conveniently, you brought a doghouse? Like, what we needed? Like, what the hell? So he's already putting things together, but not also trying. But what I also love is that Wanda uses her powers in front of Agnes, and Vision's like, "What the fuck? Like, what are you doing? Like, using your powers in front of her? Like, I thought we were not showing her powers, like her true selves. Like, what are you doing?" Wanda's like, "Don't worry about him. He's like, she was oblivious. She didn't see, but it's like, no, but we can't be doing this stuff." And Wanda comes out with this like, excuse of like, oh, well, we can trust her. Like, it's time that we show our true selves to them, to her. Like, but just like, okay, these things are just not making sense, and they keep piling up. Like, huh? Oh, the scene between Wanda and her kids having to sit down talk. It's typical '80s sitcom sit down talk, and like they have these emotional moments like, Dad, what's going on? Like, Mom, oh my God. Like, let's sit down, let's have these heartfelt conversations, you know, like like the typical like Full House or stuff like that, or any other like Family Matters or something. Any kind of those shows like that, I love. Although this is more like '90s. So wait, are we in the? Well, we're still in the '80s, right? Yeah, we're in the '80s. We're not in the '90s, but very also typical with '90s television shows. And I love this scene. Oh my God, the scene where Monica sends her the drone. I not clear as to how that drone came out. I mean, it was kind of already being damaged for the field or whatever. But I guess they put some like material on the drone because we kind of figured it out. I still don't know exactly what that means. The clothes that Monica had in episode 3, they're also Kevlar. So it's like maybe I guess it kind of is telling us that Wanda put this Kevlar in her outfit. Like, the outfit is real because they're kind of questioning, like, okay, so everything there, props and everything, are not real, but they look real to everyone because, you know, that she's warping reality. But apparently, the outfit is right there, is real because it's out of the field, so it's like it turned out to be a real costume. But apparently, I guess she put the Kevlar when she threw it out of the walls to kind of protect her because she's like, okay, I want you to be out of here. But I'm not a killer. I'm not a, well, she kills bad people, but I mean, but she doesn't kill innocent people, you know, she doesn't kill good people. She's not like that kind of person. She's like, I don't kill people in cold blood, you know, I'm just like, I'm gonna send you out. I kind of trust you that you're good. I want you to get the fuck out of here because I'm mad at you, but I'll protect you from these walls with the Kevlar, you know, or, although, well, yeah, it was her back that was being hit, not her head. But still, even Kevlar would still kill you with those walls and everything, like brick wall. I don't know, maybe it's like, it was very potent Kevlar, I guess, but I guess just what to tell is that Wanda instilled those in that clothing to protect her. So I guess did they fashion that for the drone, like to kind of be, because the thing that she said was, okay, we need to send something in there that doesn't have to be changed, right? It's like it's a drone. I don't know, because they kept sending drones for like in episode 4. They kept sending drones in, but they didn't work out. So I don't know exactly how this one worked out. Clarify me that in the comments. But I love this scene because one is like, I hear something, like shit's going down. Oh, fuck, like what is it? Like you're ruining my fantasy right here. So like she contacted her like, Wanda, my name is Wanda, Captain Monica Rambeau, blah 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 blah, and I was like, I love that scene. I love that you see Wanda activating her powers through her eyes. I'm like, oh shit, shit's gonna go down. Oh no. And indeed they did when Hayward's like, oh fuck, shoot the missile right now, god damn it. I'm like, whoa. Monica's like, what the fuck, what did you do? So I love how they said like, oh, we're being breached. And I was like, oh no, are you telling me we're gonna see a fight scene from Wanda here? Like, for these people? I was like, holy fuck, I'm down for that. Oh my god. But no, it was like this, still a huge badass scene where she, you know, all these these soldiers, like, or these agents, like, armed up to the teeth, like, ready to go down. And I love that setting up, the increasing the tension between Wanda's reveal coming out of the force field is awesome. I love that. Again, she came out with her costume and everything, so I guess she isn't in her costume at all times, I think, but you know, she changes her clothes when she's in her own world. So I love that scene because Wanda is pissed. Like, she's like, dude, don't mess with me. If I don't mess with you, don't mess with me, man. Let's just like let me be. And she's like, don't come in here, like don't fuck with me. So I love that shit. And of course Hayward's like, nah, we're not gonna let this go easily. But I love that she controls all the soldiers around her, like whoop, and just point their guns at him, and he's like, oh shit, please, please, I'm like, don't shoot me. But also Monica's trying to speak up to her, saying like, I know you trust me, like please God. I love that one is like, oh, you're here again. He's like, whoop, and Monica's like, whoa, like I know that you kind of trust me. You know that I'm not here to hurt you or anything. Like there has to be some good in you to know that, you know, I'm not a bad person. But Wanda's like not having it. She's like, let me live my own fantasy. Like let me go in there, just be happy. So it's like, man, it's crazy. But then, because the last thing that we see from the exterior is when she goes back in there, and you see like the force field kind of increase. From what I saw, the force field's increasing. I thought it kind of absorbed them, but no, I no, actually no, because we see them later on at the end of the episode, but it kind of looked like they were kind of absorbing them. I was like, oh fuck, are you telling me that now they're gonna be part of the show? So I love that after that huge like tense moment, we come back to the commercial, and I love, it was like basically a bounty commercial, but the name of it, Lagos. I'm like, okay, so I know Lagos, that's from Africa. I was like, but why is it called Lagos? But that tagline in the end, holy shit, it was one of the best things I saw from this episode. It said, for when you make a mess, you didn't mean to. It's like, holy shit. So she's basically, through this commercial, Wanda's reassuring in her own mind that what happened in Lagos was not her fault. Because you know, people keep blaming her. Like, people have these debates, and I guess in the movie, like, oh, did she mean to? Like, should we hold her accountable for it? But you know, she's having this struggle in her mind that whatever happened, it's like, is it my fault? Like, it's my fault. But of course, he kind of saying like, it's not your fault. And of course, I believe, and a lot of people should think that it's not her fault. She didn't mean for this to happen. You know, it just happened. It fell off her hands. So this is her own way of kind of reassuring her, like, yeah, what happened in that incident was not my fault. Like, hey, I didn't mean for this to happen. So I love that scene. I just love that all these things kind of have to do something with her. Kind of like the commercial with Hydra. Like, that has something to do with her own past, with being experimented on. And that first commercial from Stark Industries is from the missiles that killed her parents. Because our whole thing was that she's doing protests against Stark Industries for creating these weapons. You know, that she basically wanted to kill Tony Stark. That's so cool. So everything, all these things are connected in a personal, deep level with Wanda. And I love this scene again, like the dog died and whatever, and that's the scene that I mentioned, how she said like, yeah, some things you can't reverse, like death, even though it hurts you. But I love this final scene, this final moment from the show, where Vision comes back, basically confronts her, kind of saying like, okay, let's cut the bullshit. I know what's going on. I saw what happened to Norm. What's going on? I love the one is like trying to keep control, trying to keep her distracted. Because also, what I love about that scene between that sit down talk with her and her kids is that she's like, but where's Dad? Like, what, is he at work? What, isn't it Saturday? Like, what the hell? Why is he working? So she's kind of sent him off to work to distract him, to forget about him. He's piecing together what's been going on. So I was like, man, Wanda, dude, you're becoming such a villain, but I love it. But all that discussion, that scene, that confrontation between the two of them was spectacular. I loved it, and I love that Vision kind of realized what I also have been thinking, and also theorized that what happened in the beginning was not under control. It was like her subconscious manifested these powers, manifested this reality. Because, you know, as we kind of see that she, for most parts, for most of the first 2 episodes, and by the 3rd episode, she kind of, well, yeah, we know that she knows, but she didn't know what was going on. This is all weird, like she was part of this reality that she didn't know she created. And so when she did realize what happened, she doesn't want to lose that, because, you know, I have Vision back, I'm having a kid, you know, family, like I'm having this nice city, like I don't want to lose that. So now it's all on her. So that is cool. That is crazy. And I love the Vision's like getting mad, like, bro, don't lie to me, man. Don't lie to me. Like, what is going on? What are you doing? And man, like, they almost gonna come to a fight. I'm like, oh fuck. Like, man, this shit is getting good. Getting really good. So of course, like, wanted to kind of explain herself, like, oh, I'm doing this for the better of us, because, you know, we're happy here. Like, I don't, you know, like, you're my husband. Because the thing of Vision also clarified and revealed that he doesn't know what his life has been outside of Westview. Because he asked her, like, what's outside of Westview? Like, what the hell's going on there? It's like, you have to worry about that, man. Like, don't worry about that. But he's also like, I don't remember, like, what my life was before Westview. Like, don't remember that. Like, and that's kind of going against free will, because you're controlling that. You're not letting me be completely myself. You're controlling every aspect of my life and my memory and everything. So that shit is crazy, man. I was like, wow, this whole dialogue, this discussion is fascinating. Seeing Vision, which, by the way, Paul Bettany was amazing in this episode. Loved him in this episode. He was fantastic. But then kind of Vision was kind of settling down, like kind of getting used to the idea, kind of like, oh, I guess you're right. I guess I'm trusting you. I was like, Vision, no, don't lose control of yourself. Like, you're doing so good. Like, don't back down, man. But when I thought that things were going back to normal again, I'm like, oh fuck, what's gonna happen? Shit just went through a complete 180 degree that I did not expect. I was like, what the hell? Because you know, I mean, they kind of did reveal, like, okay, yeah, this is all real. It's not real, but let's just get a, you know, they're discussing this. Like, oh no, what I did love was, like, Vision he's not backing down, really. He was like, man, like, we need to talk about this. Like, I can't accept this. Like, what you're doing is wrong, Wanda. What you're doing is very wrong. So they were kind of discussing about that, and then someone rings the doorbell. She's like, oh, I didn't program that. I didn't do that. Like, I swear I didn't program that. So they're like, okay, what's going on? And then I love that when she opens the door, boom, cuts out, and Pete Darcy, like, I was like in shock. I was like, who is it? Like, who is it? Who are we seeing there? Like, fuck. And Darcy was like, wait, what? What's going on here? And I love Vision's like, so who's that? Like, who is he? And I was like, no, wait a minute. Are we gonna see Doctor Strange right now? That's what I thought. When we backed up and we saw the back of the head, I was like, is that supposed to be Doctor Strange? Even before we showed the head, I was like, is it Doctor Strange? Like, oh fuck. But even when we saw the back of the head, I was starting to realize that no way it's gonna be Doctor Strange. Like, no way is it gonna be Doctor Strange right now. Like, this early, like holy shit. And then we see none other. I mean, well, first I realized when I saw this, the gray hairs, I was like, oh shit, Pietro's back, Quicksilver's back, holy fuck. And well, yeah, not only is Quicksilver back, but Quicksilver from X-Men is back from the X-Men movies. The fuck? Like Evan Peters is here. What? And you kind of see him dressed up in the way that Quicksilver from those movies was dressed up, which is weird. And it kind of makes sense because they're in the 80s, so that Quicksilver's here, I guess. Or, now I'm thinking about it, is he supposed to play no, because Pietro's young when he was in the Age of Ultron, so a younger self that wouldn't make any sense. They're basically, Aaron and Evan, they're kind of like the same age, right? The same age range, so younger wouldn't make any sense, so what the fuck? And I love that Darcy said, like, holy shit, like, Pietro's being recasted? Like, or he got recasted? I guess it was also kind of like a nod to the MCU recasting some of their characters, which I love that. But what exactly does this mean? What does this mean? Because, as we know, Evan Peters played Quicksilver in the X-Men movies. Aaron Johnson, Aaron Taylor, whatever, you know what I'm saying, played Quicksilver in the movie Age of Ultron. So what the fuck, dude? What are they kind of saying? Like, well, he's gonna be our Quicksilver from now on. Like, Evan Peters is Quicksilver from the X-Men universe is going to be our Quicksilver. Maybe he's not the same guy, or he's supposed to be like we're using him, kind of how they did with J. Jonah Jameson. Like, he was the same actor. It's not supposed to be the same character, but we're bringing him here. Or are they already setting up the multiverse? Kind of how we're going to see from Spider-Man 3. Holy shit, dude. I mean, again, we don't know. That's the last thing we saw. This big shocker. So is he supposed to be that Quicksilver, or is he a new Quicksilver, but they just actually recasted him to kind of give a nod to those movies and make this the official Quicksilver from now on? Or I bet he'll only be there through the tenure of this fake sitcom until that doesn't cease to exist. Because, Pietro's dead, so I don't think he can bring back alive unless she created a new version of him that will, like, live on. I don't know, but maybe they just did this as a reference to that character, that version of that character, now that we can actually put him in here, only just for, like, the fans, like, yeah, he's not going to be Quicksilver, but for the rest of the tenure until we're in this fake sitcom, he's our Quicksilver, he's our Pietro, so holy shit. And by the way, Evan Peters, for that brief scene that he was in, he was great. He was, like, super, like cheesy 80s, like, character. We're like, hey, what's going on here? Who's this guy? That was great. It blew my mind. I could not believe this, and now I don't know what's going on. Now things just got more complicated. I don't know what's going on. I cannot wait for next week. Jesus Christ. Like, I love this. I loved all of this. I think it was fantastic. The stories are getting tighter, getting more, like, complex, but very interesting. I enjoy everything. Wanda is an amazing villain, and Elizabeth Olsen is incredible. She's doing the wonderful performance, jumping from this fake version of Wanda, like, everything's nice, and she's, like, a good mom, whatever, to, like, Wanda, like, pissed off, tragic, sad, like, love it. And everyone here is great. The writing is great. Darcy's not annoying. She's awesome. I love everything. Except, again, those little story details. I was like, I don't know how it makes any sense, but I enjoyed it. I loved everything from there, and man, it was great. So I'm gonna give this episode really a 9.5 out of 10. It was incredible for me. I think it's like my favorite of these episodes so far. I can't give it the full 10 because I think those story details are the ones that, like, even though 10 doesn't mean it's perfect, but even those glaring things for me, I can't make it a full 10, but I love it. I enjoyed it. This is great. This was amazing. So I cannot wait for what's gonna happen next week. What do you guys think of episode 5 of what's it called? Did we have the special episode or something like that? Do you guys enjoy it? Are you guys loving the story? Are you guys? Because I know some people were disappointed with the first 3 episodes. How it's like slow burn. How it's like it's just weird. But like, are you now good with it? I was good from the beginning. Yeah, the first episodes were kind of a slow burn, but I was like, let's just give it time. And hell yeah, it was meant. It was worth it. This this was amazing. I enjoyed everything from here, and I cannot wait to see what the hell's going on next episode. I no idea, no idea. Still some questions that need to be resolved. Now we have more questions to resolve. So, what do you guys think? What are your theories for this episode? What do you give a rating for this episode? Let me know in the comments. And tune in next week as I will do this spoiler reviews for you guys, and it's gonna be fun. So please like, share, subscribe to this channel for more content like this and wide variety content right here in the Seba Show. So my name is Sebastian Productions, and you're watching the Seba Show.